Offer negotiation. Everyone's favorite topic, right? A couple of years ago, I found this amazing article on the art of negotiating a job offer by Haseeb Qureshi, and it really blew my mind. I think it's one of the best pieces on this topic, and if you want to learn more about negotiating a job offer, definitely read his article. In this video, I will summarize the most important points from his articles and add my own perspective to it. I want to say one thing clearly: I'm not an expert. Far from it. But I've understood how important it is to negotiate for your career. Do I personally like negotiating? No. Would I love if every company gives you the best offer they can make? Yes. But this is sadly not the reality, and this is why I think it's so important to learn about negotiating in your interview preparation. First off, let's talk about why we negotiate, and I want to clear one misconception in the beginning. Negotiations are not a sign of greed and arrogance. I think the opposite. It's actually a very natural and expected part of trying to make a deal. Think about it this way. It signals your competence, confidence, and seriousness. And companies usually respect candidates that negotiate. In fact, many highly skilled and attractive candidates to companies negotiate because they usually have many options to choose from. Now, negotiating is not about being arrogant or rude. It's about keeping your options open. You should never give up your negotiation power until you're ready to make a deliberate, informed, and final decision. And even if the offer is not what you expected, it's important to stay positive and excited towards the company. Your enthusiasm is one of the most important assets in a job negotiation. One of the most common mistakes people do is seeing the offer negotiation as a very one-dimensional thing. They usually focus on the salary, the equity, or the prestige the title would give you. Sure, those are important, but so is a cultural fit, the challenges the new workplace offers, the learning potential or your later career options, the quality of life, the growth potential, and your overall happiness. I think you should be considering all of those factors together when making a final decision. I want to now talk a little bit about how a usual negotiation looks like and what the steps are throughout your interview process. So, what is the first step of successful offer negotiation? It is being prepared. As I already said in my video about the chat with the recruiter, the salary negotiation starts at the very beginning of your interview process, in the first chat with this company. This is important to understand because it's important that you don't say the wrong number in this first chat when they ask you, so what are your salary expectations? If you want to know what to say best in that situation, you can watch my video about the chat with the recruiter where I go a bit more into detail there. Also, very important throughout your interview process, and actually Haseeb's first rule, keep everything in writing. From the team size, the company strategy, the tech stack, everything you learn and you think is important, write it down and make a note so that you can remember it later. This is not only important if you are in multiple interview processes and try to remember what which company said, but it is also important at the end of your interview process to remember everything correctly and make an informed decision. But the first step is knowing what your goals are. What do you actually want? What is your dream offer? Without knowing the market well, what you expect from an offer, and when you would walk away from an offer, you can't even start to negotiate. This is why it is important to do some research and prepare this negotiation before you start negotiating. For the salary, there are some good websites you can use to research the average salary bands. You can, for example, use Glassdoor, Payscale, Indeed, or Levels.fyi. I will link those under this video for you to use. With the help of those websites, you can answer the following questions. First, what is the upper and lower level for the job I'm applying for in this specific market? Second, what is your desired salary? What is the number you would be happy with? And third, what is your walkaway number? The number you definitely won't accept. Keep in mind that if you're relocating, the cost of living might differ a lot. To make an informed decision whether the salary is high or low, compare your current city's cost of living with the future one. One of my favorite websites for that is Numbeo. It helps you to compare the cost of living of one city to the cost of living of another city. They actually have crowdsourced data and are usually pretty accurate. They usually have very good data on what common things like a loaf of bread or liter of milk or a taxi ride costs in a certain city compared to another city. I always use that to compare the cost of living between two cities. So you now talk to the recruiter and told him your desired salary. You will first go through the whole interview process until you get an offer at the end. This is where the negotiation continues. But great, now that you know what your goals are, you can go through the interview process and to the negotiations confidently. So now, when you went through the whole interview process and they actually make you an offer, you basically have three options. You can reject the offer if it's really bad. You can accept it if it's really good and you really want to take it. Or, the most common case, you can negotiate. As you can probably imagine, because I'm making a full video about it, negotiating is often the best approach. Of course, sometimes an offer is so bad that you really don't want to try, or it is so good that you just want to take it. Here it is super easy to say, no, wait, negotiate. But I think it's not that easy because sometimes an offer is so good that you just want to immediately take it and not risk anything. I think the most important thing is that you are happy with the offer and not that you negotiate just for the sake of it. But if you want to negotiate, use the knowledge you already have and counter their offer. This is usually about the salary, but could also be about the vacation days, the working from home or stock options, relocation support, whatever you want to be included in this offer. One thing is important is you might be afraid to make a counter offer because you're afraid that they rescind the offer before you can take it. This is highly unlikely. Of course, it could happen. But think about it. They have already spent all the time and money to find and interview you. They are already committed to hiring you if they make you an offer. In his article, Haseeb has a great napkin calculation which illustrates how much money they spent finding a single candidate. The company has already spent an incredible amount of money while searching and interviewing you. In his article, Haseeb estimates it is $24,000 for each candidate. I kept digging a bit and I found a few other websites that have more recent data and they estimate anything from $28,000 to $35,000 per candidate. If you are going through an external recruiter, they are charging anywhere from 10 to 30% of your yearly salary for their services. Why do I tell you all of this? Because I want to tell you that when they make you an offer, they are already all in. They've already spent all this time and money, and if you reject the offer, they have to start all over again and search for other candidates. So now we talked about the why and the common timeline for negotiations, but what is a good counteroffer? This is obviously impossible for me to answer in this video because it fully depends on your situation and the details of the offer you want to negotiate. In general, because you prepared, you already know what you expect and counter with that. If they offer you $80,000 in yearly salary, but you expect $90,000, counter with that. Now be careful. If you make a counter offer, it's very common that they want to meet you somewhere in the middle and would say, what about 85,000? Then it is very hard to stand your ground and say, no, I want 90,000. It would have been better if you from the beginning would have said, what about 95,000? Then they would probably counter with something in the range of what you expected. I think important is that you test a bit the boundaries because you don't know what they're willing to pay. And in the worst case, they will just say, no, 80,000 is the best we can offer. Then you can still decide whether this is something you would be okay with or not. Sometimes the company mission, the people or the technologies they work with is worth lowering your expected salary a bit and accepting an offer. I would say anything between 10 to 20% is a perfectly normal counter offer and you should definitely not lose any sleep over it if you counter with that. But of course, if the offer is too low or you need more, it can be higher. Additionally, if you make a counter offer via email or phone, it should always include why you deserve more salary. Always include 2 to 3 reasons that explain why your ask is reasonable and the value you can bring. Here, you can discuss things they already know, you discussed during the interview process, or even better, you can mention things they don't know yet. For example, that you have another offer from another company. Sometimes you also apply for one role and during the interview process, they assess that you would fit to a higher role where you have more responsibilities. That would also be a good reason to ask for more money. But in general, it's always good to restate why you are a good fit, the unique qualities you have, and the value you can immediately bring to the team when making a counter offer. It just makes it more credible. And the next step? Of course, this can go back and forth a couple of times and you will probably write a tons of emails back and forth until you found a good offer both sides are comfortable with. Then you can accept it and I hope you celebrate your new job. In almost all of my videos, I include some general tips. And now I want to give you some general tips about how to negotiate a job offer. The first one I want to give you is have alternatives. In his articles, this is Haseeb's 6th rule. Because what if you have other offers on the table? This is a great position to be in and gives you a lot of power while negotiating. What surprised me here is that you should have other alternatives, not necessarily other offers from other companies. What I mean by that is an alternative could also be that you stay at your current company or go back to university and study something or take a year off you always wanted to. Something different to the job offer they're making you. All of that would give you the option to walk away from the offer, which is incredibly important. Your alternatives gives you other options and gives your negotiations at stake. By signaling and talking about your alternatives, you give the other side a good understanding of when you would walk away from an offer and what your alternatives are. The second advice I want to give you is, it is much easier to negotiate a good job offer than get a promotion later. You probably know this, but it's incredibly hard to get a promotion for 5%, 10%, or even 15% of your salary. It usually takes a lot of hard work and a good economical situation for the company. During the offer negotiation, on the other hand, it is much easier to negotiate for 10, 20, or even 30% more salary. And Think about it. If you already start with a higher salary, you will make that higher salary from the day you join the company for the years to come. And you can still get promotions. And the third advice I want to give you is take your time. Recruiters or HR can sometimes put a lot of pressure on you to sign the offer immediately. A lot of times the offers are also limited to a certain time period because they want you to sign the offer as quick as possible, and also they don't want to be liable for you to take the offer a year later once you decide that you finally want to take it. But I think one really important thing is here, take your time. Never make a decision under pressure. You can just ask for a few more days and say that you want to make a considerate decision. If you're on a phone call and they ask you on the spot what your decision is, you can just say that you are grateful about the offer, but you need a night to sleep over it. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, they are already committed to hiring you, so they will not drop that offer so easily. Take your time and take a considerate and deliberate decision that is best for you. The next advice I want to give you is you can always reject an offer. Sure, they have spent all this time and money to interview you and make you the offer, and it might feel like a heavy decision to reject it. But remember, it's just part of the process, and it's okay. You might feel like you wasted their time and feel guilty about not taking their offer. But this is all part of the business. They would also reject you if you would not fit into their expectations. So I would recommend you to see it purely as a business decision, and if the offer is not good enough or not fitting for you at this moment, it's okay to walk away from it and reject it. And the last one I want to talk about is a common misconception. You might feel like a higher salary will immediately result in higher expectations in your new role. Maybe your next manager will think, oh, if you get so much money, I will ask much more from you. But in reality, this is usually not true. The role you accept is usually determining the responsibility and the expectations much more than the salary. And think about it. The job negotiation is usually happening between you and the hiring manager and will stay between you both. It will not affect your future colleagues or the expectations they have towards you. And as Haseeb also mentioned in his article, making 5,000 more or less will not really change that. Alright, I think I've covered a lot of points already in this video. Salary negotiations can be a bit of an art and can be really difficult, but with the right mindset and the right preparation, I'm sure that you will be surprised how much better your offers can get. Is this video a complete guide on how to negotiate and win every job offer? No, definitely not. But I hope I could convince you that the salary negotiation part of your interview process is really important and worth spending a bit of time on preparing and researching a bit more. And remember, your goal is not to just land any job. Your goal is to land a job that fits to you. I think setting you up for success right from the beginning will accelerate your career noticeably. I hope you found those insights as helpful as I did when I first learned about it, and definitely check out Haseeb's article I will link under this video. If you have any questions or thoughts, leave them in the comment sections of this video, and I hope I can help you to find and get your dream job. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.